Hello everybody, welcome to your background poetry notes for our next unit. On this PowerPoint you will see that you have a note handout that goes along with it, and I'm going to walk you through this just so you understand since this is something new. What you will see in front of you is something that's called TP-CASTT, and this is the method of analysis we'll be using when we dissect the few poems that we do. This will be a very short unit that we'll be starting. So looking at your notes handout, you will see the first question there for you to fill in, slides 1 and 2. What is TP-CASTT and what does the acronym TP-CASTT stand for? So as you can see, TP-CASTT is an acronym of steps used to analyze poetry. The results can help you better understand a poem. There are 7 steps, so each of these letters stands for something that we will do in the poem. Here it is. The first T is title prediction. That means even before you do anything on your analysis form, which you will get handouts of that each time you do it to a poem, you make a prediction based on the title of the poem. So that might sound something like, okay, the title of the poem is whatever. I think this might be about blah, blah, blah. The P is paraphrase. The C is connotation. The A is attitude or tone. The S is shift. The T is title revisited. Was your prediction correct? And the final T is a theme statement. So we will take a look at all of this in action. So that was slides 1 and 2. Moving on to slide 3. Title. Ponder the title before reading the poem. So we are on slide 3 again. As I said, look at the title and attempt to predict what the poem will be about. Pretty easy. Slide 4. Paraphrase. What does this mean? This is probably going to be the lengthiest part of your TP-CASTT. When you paraphrase, that means you translate each line or each stanza of the poem into your own words. You're not summarizing. So you are looking at the poet's words and then you are rewriting what he said, but in your own words. And again, we will take a look at that in just a minute. So make sure you understand the literal plot of the poem, what is literally told to us, and we'll see this in just a moment. Slide 5. Here is a sample paraphrase. So in black on the left-hand side is just an excerpt from a poem we'll be doing, and then right across from it, right across from each line in red, you will see that I have translated the poet's words into my own words. So the poet's words are, "Do not weep, maiden." Okay. To paraphrase that, how can I put that in my own words? Don't cry, woman. For war is kind, for there's kindness in war. Poet's words, because your lover, okay, in my words, because the one you love. Poet's words, threw wild hands to the sky. All right, how can I reword that in my own words? Threw his hands up to the sky. You'll notice I'm not changing every single word. So the poet uses the word sky, I use the word sky. Up here, the poet uses the word kind, I use kindness. So you're not literally changing every single word. The poet says, and the affrighted steed ran on alone. I might have to look up what affrighted and steed means. That's okay. And I say, and the frightened horses ran on by themselves. Do not weep, war is kind. In my words, I say, don't cry, there's kindness in war. So again, it's taking the poet's words and then just putting each line. That's why it's so time consuming. Now, if we do get to a long poem, I'm not going to make you paraphrase the entire poem. I might tell you, paraphrase this stanza or that stanza. Moving on. Connotation. We are down to slide 6. Up in slide 5, you will see there is exactly what we just did with the paraphrasing. Slide 6, the C in connotation. Again, connotation is the emotion that a word creates. So we hear this word, what do we think of? For example, darkness. We think of the unknown or fear. So for this section of the TP-CASTT, step 1, identify any of these poetic devices. So this is all our poetry stuff that we talk about. Similes, metaphors, this is all the stuff we look at. And then step 2, now that I've identified those things in my poem, what emotion or what connotation is created by that simile you found or by that metaphor that you found? Moving on, we are on the back of our note sheet. Slide 7, attitude, which is just another way for tone, the author's attitude in the poem. Observe both the speaker's attitude and the poet's attitude. That is tone. Remember that these attitudes will probably shift or be mixed in the poem. So it's okay if a poem has 3 tones. It goes from happy to sad to confused, for example. Moving on, shift. This is one of the more difficult parts, but we are going to work through this together. The S in the TP-CASTT means shift. In order to determine if a poem has a shift in tone, that's what we're talking about. A shift in what? Shift in tone, shift in emotion. For example, goes happy to sad. Watch for the following. How do I know if my poem has a shift? Look for keywords, but, yet, however, although. Look for punctuation. All of a sudden you see a bunch of dashes or periods or colons or the ellipsis, the ... Look at stanza divisions. Look at changes in line or stanza length. For example, stanza, and all of a sudden the poem ends with 1 line. Maybe there's a shift in tone there or changes in wording. And again, we will see all of this in action. Title again, slide 10 on your note sheet. I'm sorry, slide 9 on your note sheet. Title revisited. Were you correct? Were you correct? Was your prediction correct back up in your first T? Why or why not? So this might sound like I was correct because or I was incorrect because. Theme. We are in slide 10. This is not a theme topic like one word. This will be a full theme statement. So here's our formula. Determine what the poet is saying about life, or what's the life lesson you're walking away with. So, to identify our theme statement, start with your theme topic. Ask yourself, what is the theme topic? 1 word. What is the poet saying about that theme topic? And then ask yourself, what life lesson from the poem are you walking away with? We just did this for Animal Farm. Remember on task 4, we talked about the life lesson you are walking away with. So that answer to the question of what life lesson are you walking away with, that's your theme statement. And so that is our formula there under our closure, the very last thing on your handout, and we will come back to this a lot. If you look at your note sheet, there's an example. Theme topic, for example, grief. What is the poet saying about this topic? Maybe he's saying grief affects all people. Okay, put it in a nice theme statement for me. People deal with grief in a variety of ways that best suits their needs. So again, we will do this. We'll see all of this in action. Make sure you have all your notes here, and we'll talk soon.